This is Wife Material Podcast, episode 21, Running a Home Like a Business. You have to understand that the husband is the CEO of the house and family, but the wife is the COO of the house and family. So she's the chief operating officer. She handles a lot of the, day-to-day operations, right? A lot of the stuff, a lot of the behind-the-scenes type of activities. Certain tasks that are necessary and are delegated to her to be responsible for taking care of. Because one, obviously, she should be capable of doing it, should be good at doing it. So obviously, right? The husband has his responsibilities, of course, but this is about the wife's responsibilities. So the things that we're going to talk about in this podcast is going to be sanitation, cleaning, right? Food supply, cooking and shopping, shipping and receiving, pretty much just being home for receiving Amazon packages or actually going to the post office and, sending out packages. So you'll be dealing with the mail is what I'm saying. And then security, just gotta be safe. You gotta be safe while you're in the home. You gotta make sure that the house is safe, your property is safe, and the children are safe, and the husband can come back home to a safe place, obviously. Time management, just pretty much being a manager, right? Managing, making rules and, enforcing the rules. Accounting, budgeting, don't want to waste money, want to use it wisely, right? Transportation, you could call it chauffeuring, having driving skills is useful. Recreation, like home entertainment, traveling, that kind of stuff. So these are things we're going to talk about. So first off, sanitation, right? Like in any business, you want to make sure you maintain cleanliness in any work environment, including home. There's health benefits to that, obviously. There's just the why not, right? Why not be clean? Why not have a clean space? Have things nice and organized and, looking good, smelling good, all that good stuff. Now, clearly you don't have to put a lot of effort into cleaning, especially when you have a system. So if you have a system in place that you created yourself or was already in place and you're just using it, like let's say you live in a mansion and you already have maids and butlers, then you don't have to do much of the cleaning, just more of the managing of the cleaning, making sure that they have the supply they need and that they are cleaning, making sure that they clean to your specifications as opposed to just cleaning however way they feel, right? If you need things to be cleaned a certain way, then that's the task, right? That's if you have people to do the cleaning for you. If you're doing the cleaning yourself, then of course you want to make it as easy as possible. Work smarter, not harder. Ladies, you're smart, right? So prove it by making cleaning easy. Making it we have to clean less. The less you have to clean, the better, right? So stuff like dishwashers, Roombas, having maids and butlers help you, having assistants or just setting it up where, you pay for somebody else to clean or you just get useful equipment, useful home cleaning supplies that makes cleaning easy so it doesn't take that long. Obviously, you'll pretty much be home alone in that situation, unless you have maids and butlers, obviously. So you won't have too much distractions. It'll be easy for you to clean the house on your own time, right? Your own leisure. But the sooner you get it done, the better. You don't want it to take forever, right? You don't want it to take long for you to clean. No one wants to take forever to do something, so that's why it's important for you to have a system for you to know how to clean and keep everything clean as much as possible. But I always advocate the idea of just make it easy on yourself. We have technology. We created things to make things easier. We got washing machines, dryers, right? So laundry, is easier to do now than it used to be. So much so that men do their own laundry, right? So there was a time where women, did laundry and they did it the hard way. Now it's easy to do it, right? So that's why it's way easier to be a wife in modern times. A modern wife has a much easier job than the wives of the past. The wives of the past had to put in more work. Like in this, if you're watching the video version of this, you see the image where this woman is, on the floor, wiping down a marble floor. It looks like a tile floor with a rag. Well, she don't have to go that far. She can use a Roomba. She can use a Swiffer jet. Other technology, like I don't know all the technology that could be used for like cleaning stuff like that, but you get the idea. Google is your friend. Go Google it. Go find ways to make it easy to clean carpet, floors, and hardwood floors, and tile floors, and so forth and so forth. So let's move on to, that should be simple enough. Just who doesn't want to be clean, right? Just want to be clean, want to make sure everything in the house is clean. COVID-19 is a thing, among other diseases. You don't want anyone in your house getting sick. You want to reduce sickness as much as possible, so sanitation is important. Clean home environment is the same thing as a clean work environment, right? Food and supply, cooking, shopping. These are useful skills to have. We have things now like Instacart. You have YouTube videos to learn how to cook. So if you don't know how to cook, you can learn, right? You could definitely learn how to cook quickly and effectively. You can make a whole bunch of meals with microwaves. We have microwaves, so there's no reason not to be able to cook when you literally have a microwave. We have TV dinners, for example. Not saying that those are the go-to option, just saying that they do exist. There are frozen food options. But you can obviously get, fruits and vegetables, right, meat, and, learn how to create different meals with the same ingredients, right? You don't have to learn a lot. You just gotta learn a couple things here and there just to spruce things up. Because think about it. Realistically, as humans, we just need to eat. Forgot to move it. There we go. We just need to eat, simple stuff, right? Just, like I said, fruits and vegetables and meat, right? For protein purposes. We don't need too many different types of ingredients, right? Those are basic ingredients. But how you use those ingredients, like the different ways you mix and match fruits, vegetables, and meat. That's how you create different meals, right? Seems pretty simple, but the point that I'm making there is that, is the fact that y'all pretty much eating the same stuff over and over again, the stuff that your body needs, vitamins and minerals and stuff like that. But, you make it seem different because of the way you mix the food, the ingredients. Definitely do not be eating processed foods and packaged foods like donuts and cookies and stuff like that. Those are not real food. Those are products. They're not food. They're products. So keep that in mind. You want to reduce any artificial stuff as much as possible into your body. Companies tend to put cheap stuff, right? Put unhealthy things into their products, into what they create that they call food, so that way they can make a profit, because it's more about making money than it is about actually taking care of human health. So you need to take care of the human health, your health, your husband's health, your children's health, right? That's important, right? Your husband's important, your children are important, you are important. So make sure you're healthy. Make sure the kids, they're healthy. Make sure whatever is being consumed in the house is of high quality, is of the most healthiest thing you can get for the family. So food supply, making sure there's plenty of food to feed the family. Make sure you have enough supply to feed all the members of your family plus guests, in case you have guests over. It's always good to. So it's always better to have more than you need than have less than you need. So it's always good to have more. Ain't nothing wrong with extra food left over. That just means that's another plate for someone else to eat, right? Or seconds in case somebody needs to eat more than a certain amount. So managing the what's in the house to eat is one thing. Managing the supply, making sure you don't run out of stuff. Again, stuff like Instacart, Blue Apron. There's a lot of services out there. You literally can do grocery shopping from your phone. You don't have to leave, go anywhere. You can just buy the ingredients and have them brought to you. You stock up the fridge real quick. So the most work you're gonna do is order the grocery, wait for it to be delivered, and then stock the refrigerator with the supplies, with the food, right? And then, of course, later on, cooking it. But if you created a system that makes it easy for you to create meals real quick and effective, because you have all these gadgets in the house, all these cooking supplies in the kitchen, I should say, that makes cooking quick and easy and effortlessly. That's the whole point. You know what I mean? You're supposed to make this job, this life you chose easier, right? So that way it doesn't feel much like work. It just feels like everyday life. And if you're already used to eat cooking with very little effort, great, perfect. That's the way it should be. Cooking shouldn't be a problem. It is weird to hear women talk about cooking being a problem, that they don't cook. That means all they do is consume, and they're more likely consuming unhealthy things they shouldn't be consuming, things that are not good for them. You should know how to cook, because you should have way more control of what goes into your body than some company that's trying to make profit, right? Because your health is more important than profit. Your health, your family's health is more important than profit, right? Money doesn't matter, but that's for a different conversation. Moving on to, so you get the idea, the information for that is out there. You just gotta find it. Shipping and receiving, we still do stuff like packages, mails. So there's still a mail service, right? We still have the need to move things around physically from point A to point B. So, that from my personal experience, I work, other members of my household work. So, except for one, but that's for a different story. The point is that we tend to not be home when things get delivered, and I tend to I hate that. I hate that there isn't anyone available properly to receive packages, right? To be able to answer the door and receive packages when we order from Amazon, whatnot, for example. So that it's important that we need something like that. I've even considered the idea of getting like a little box or something to put in front of the house that the packages can be left in, be nice and secure, so we don't have to worry about someone taking it. Because I recently ordered something and it didn't arrive, even though it said it was delivered, it was given to someone, and it's like, yeah, no one in the actual house received anything, which in my neighborhood would mean somebody was just in front of my house and just sitting there and just so happened to take my items, or they just delivered it to a different house and the people gladly took the free item. So they got some free stuff because they kept it, right? So that was unfortunate. So I had to reorder this stuff. I did get the stuff the second order of those items. It was less than $40. The point is just that was a waste of $40 to have somebody else have your items instead of you, and then I had to reorder. So that's very unfortunate. Waste of money, but good thing I make money, so it's not that big of a deal at the moment. It's just the principle of the matter of like, yeah, that should have happened. My stuff should have been delivered. I should have received it. It shouldn't have disappeared. I should have had that issue. So, you know, having somebody at home to be able to manage the shipping and the receiving of packages, being able to take packages, especially if there's packages specifically, be able, you know, package, you know, put everything together, stamps, all that stuff, do all the processing of sending out packages, and then take the packages to the post office, or have the mailman or woman come by and pick up the packages or something, you know, that kind of stuff. Especially if you live in a big place like a mansion or something like that, then the ability to manage the shipping and the receiving, you know, of packages, especially if you order stuff like a furniture, like a couch or something, you know, you need somebody to be home, you know, to let them into the castle, as it were, right? So there's that. So shipping and receiving, very importante. So what's the point of buying stuff if it's just going to end up missing? All right, moving on. Security. You want to be safe, as safe as you could possibly be. You know, you don't want to be unsafe. You know, so having a security system, having a guard dog, for example, whether the dog is a real dog or a robot, right? That's the route I prefer. I'd rather have a robot security dog or security system. But I'm not going to go into that. It's a future type of stuff. But, you know, at least a security system. Your wife, speaking to you specifically, you as a wife definitely, or as a woman in general, should know self-defense. Men already going to learn self-defense on average. One, because they're going to be in a scenario where they're getting their butt kicked, and they're going to be like, you know what, I need to learn self-defense. Most women typically are protected, sheltered from that type of situations, that they typically don't feel like they need to learn self-defense until they end up in a unfortunate scenario where certain things happen that most women fear to happen, and they should fear it happening, but you think it would lead to them learning self-defense by default. You know what I mean? I, by default, teach the females in my family, or any female around me, first and foremost thing I always point out is, do you know self-defense? No. Do you want to learn? I'll teach you, or I will get you the lessons. You know, I'll send you videos about, you know, self-defense. You know, YouTube is a thing. Learn self-defense, ladies. First and foremost, that's just something you should do, period. Good for you, good for the children, good for, you know, it'll be very beneficial to your husband if you're capable of defending yourself, because he's not always going to be there to do it for you, as well as if he is there, it would be nice if you can assist him. Don't expect him to do everything. You know what I mean? He needs you as much as you need him. And that's the way it should be. Teamwork makes the dream work, right? You know, like I said, security system, you know, it's important. Keeping track of things, you know, making sure you notice when stuff are missing. That's an important detail. You know, don't be oblivious. You know, make sure you notice when something's missing. You know, it's good to make sure things are organized. That way, you know, it's easy to find what y'all need to find when y'all need to find it. But ultimately, you don't want anything to end up missing. Especially if you have guests over, you don't want things to end up missing. And that could be unfortunate. You know what, scenarios like that. Also, you know, not only for your own, you know, safety, you definitely want your home to be a safe place for anybody. Even if you have a guest over, you know, you have people visiting, you want them to be safe as well. You don't want them to be unsafe, right? So make sure there's, you know, that their safety, right? Keep that in mind. It's important to be safe as you can be. Not much to say there. Obviously, you know, self-defense and security systems, it's, you know, something to keep in mind. Security does not necessarily have to be a gun or a weapon, you know, but it's useful to know how to use weapons, you know, to use objects to defend yourself, to defend others. That's important. But, you know, a secure system is definitely something for a house, first and foremost, for a house, definitely everybody should have a security system. You know, you want to keep the house safe. You want to keep people safe. You want to keep people honest. You know, we are humans. You know, the whole. We're not perfect, and that is true. We're not 100% perfect, but most of us do try to be. So try to reduce the temptation of somebody doing something wrong. All right, so moving on to time management. So time management, it's important to make sure everybody wakes up when they need to wake up. You know, kids gotta go to school, husband gotta go to work, or whatever. That kind of stuff. If you got stuff to do, you obviously want to be able to make sure you can do everything you need to do. Cooking, cleaning, blah, 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 all that stuff. So being able to make sure you can do everything in a short period of time is the best way of doing things. Make sure that, you have a system that makes doing everything easy. That way you're never in a scenario where you have stuff left over to do that hasn't yet been done, and then that carries on over to the next day and the next to the next, and you end up piling up a whole bunch of stuff that needs to get done that never got done. Like stuff being broken, never getting fixed for months and months just because you've been putting it off because you've been busy doing other stuff. Like you need to be able to manage stuff, having a to-do list, having rules for people to follow, so that way it reduces stuff. Like I always agree with the idea of like people cleaning after themselves. That way the main person that usually is responsible for cleaning isn't the only one cleaning. They're responsible for their responsibility is actually to maintain cleanliness, to make sure that the house is clean or certain things are clean or whatnot. It's not 100% their responsibility to do all the cleaning. Right? I always hate that factor that some people take advantage of that. If somebody's responsibility is to do the dishes, everybody feels like they don't have to do the dishes or clean their dish. Like they'll use a cup to drink and then throw it into the sink instead of washing it, rinsing it out, and then putting it away, which will be the right thing to do. I can understand if you we all had dinner and it was a big dinner and we have a whole bunch of plates and food and drinks and cups and forks and spoons and stuff and knives and stuff, right? And everybody's all tired. They just finished eating and everybody just wants to go to the living room and chill, watch a movie or something, or go to sleep or whatever. And then somebody, is responsible for doing dishes. They clean all the dishes for that specific moment. That's understandable that they do all of that cleaning. But if everybody's, whenever they feel like, getting a snack or getting something to drink, like even if they're just using a cup to just drink water, clean it yourself. That's the importance of rules and enforcing those rules and making sure that, people do things, because we shouldn't be making things harder for one another. The reason we have rules and for example, and people, and giving people responsibilities to do certain things is to help. It's the teamwork thing. So everybody can benefit. This whole selfishness of like, I don't got to do nothing because somebody else is doing it. No. Think about it. We have cops for a reason. Yeah, it's nice that we have cops. They're useful, when they are useful. But we should still be able to handle a situation. We should be able to prevent a fight that could lead to somebody getting shot, to prevent the cops being involved or something, right? Like we should make sure we learn how to prevent things from getting worse to a point where we have to involve the cops, for example, right? Cops should be for worst case scenarios that are just way out of control. That stuff that could not be prevented. Like if somebody just walked into a neighborhood and just started shooting because they have mental issues, okay, nothing caused that to happen other than the person just doing it, right? But if somebody was just, walking in the neighborhood and, said hi to somebody or just was looking at somebody and that person felt offended and one thing led to another and they're arguing and then suddenly a shooting started happening, well, it's like that wouldn't have happened if people didn't just keep their mouth quiet, right? Like, people caused the problem that didn't need to happen, and stuff like that happens. So the point is like there's rules for a reason. So it's like everybody should pitch in to make things easier for one another. All I ask is to be Don't bother me, I don't bother you, right? You do you, I do me. You need my help, I got you. And I expect it in return. But other than that, I'm not going to inconvenience you, don't inconvenience me. You make your money, I make my money. It's that simple. So, like I said, management, it's very important. Having make sure the kids have chores, right? Don't take on all the responsibilities, right? You're a manager, right? You're the COO, the chief operating officer of the house, as much as you are part of the team that makes things happen. You do have other people in the house. Like, for example, if you have kids, they too need to, one, learn how to do things, right? Clean after themselves, work as a team, help around the house type of stuff. Because these are skills that'll be useful for them in the future, especially for when they start, having their own families and stuff like that. So they need to learn how to do things. The best boss is usually somebody who was an employee first, who was a good employee, who followed directions and rules and whatnot, and then became a boss. It's always shitty, somebody who doesn't follow rules, somebody who doesn't like to do things at all, who's lazy all the time, be like, I want to be a boss. You just want to be lazy and do nothing, have everybody else do stuff for you. That's all. That's why you want to be a boss. To continue doing what you were doing when you were not the boss, which was nothing. You did nothing before, you plan to do nothing as a boss. That's not good. That's not how that works, and should never work that way. You should never let the people who suck at doing stuff be in charge of doing stuff, right? Always have the best people do the best. So, like I said, gotta teach your kids, rules, why rules exist, give them responsibility, teach them how to be decent human beings, to take care of themselves, to take care of others, to be able to cooperate, to be able to work as a team. Shouldn't have everybody as individuals. Kids shouldn't spend too much time in their rooms. You should try to get them to, hang out from time to time. That's what the living room is for and stuff like that. Spend quality time. You want to make sure that they are social in life, that they know how to work as a team. They know how to get along with people. They know how to communicate and talk with other human beings. Because regardless of what people think, we need each other. Society exists because of each other. Jobs exist because of each other. If it wasn't for your boss, you would not have a job. If it wasn't for the person who created the business or the company or the job, for your boss to have a job, for you to have a job, neither one of y'all will have a job, right? Neither one of y'all will have the ability to earn money to use it to do anything. Money would not exist if it wasn't needed for trading, right? To give money to somebody for them to give you something in return, whether it be food or like an item or a service, a product or a service. That's what money's for. Money's to give to other people. Some people are confused and think that money is for them. So they get greedy and they be like, oh, I want to get as much as I can. I want to hold on to as much of it as possible. And then all they want to do is spend it on dumb stuff for themselves, selfishly, when that's not the point. The point is to give money to other people so that, so that way they can help you do something. Whether it is giving you a product that you need or, providing a service that you need, like cleaning or something, right? So that's management. So let's move. You get the idea. You can obviously learn management skills through YouTube. So the next step is accounting, which is essentially budgeting. This is definitely something that's very important, because money is a tool, money is a resource, money is no different from a screwdriver or a hammer. It's something that's useful, something you can use to make things happen, right? To solve problems with. A lot of people, make money into a problem. A lot of people, marriages, for example, relationships tend to fall apart because of money. And you know, and the thing is the money itself wasn't the problem. It was just how people thought about money, is how they acted about money. You know, not going to get it all into that. The idea is budgeting. You know, making sure that you understand how much money is being spent on a monthly basis for taking care of you, your husband, the children, if you have maids and butlers, that kind of stuff. Paying for the bills, services. You need to know, what money is coming in, what money is going out. That's important. Most importantly, is when it comes to that is cheap options. As a wife, you should definitely figure out ways to make it where for the cheapest y'all can do anything and everything. If you want to travel and go on vacations, that's cool and all, but make sure you find the cheapest way to do these trips. Don't just be like, oh, I want to go to Hawaii, and then your husband and expect your husband to just manage to get the money necessary just to go on this trip or whatnot. Or even if you can pitch in, even if you can go half on the trip, it's still better to find the cheapest way to do the trip. That way you can do multiple trips. If you can keep finding discounts for traveling to different locations, you can travel a lot for less. That's all I'm saying. Find cheap ways to do stuff. I used to think it was interesting, back in the day, seeing old school wives when I was young, having these groups of women, wives, get together and they trade coupons. I always thought that was a little odd. I'm like, what's the point? Why you're trading coupons? But then, after a while, I realized that, oh, okay, I get it. It's because there's coupons that you don't need, but somebody else actually need it, and you can trade, right? You give them the coupons you don't want for the coupons you do want, and that just makes things easier. And the reason y'all are using coupons is because it makes things cheaper. Y'all can get whatever y'all want for a lot less. So you spend less money to get stuff. And it's like, well, I can respect that. I can respect the idea of getting what you need for less money, especially when things start getting more expensive. So I've definitely been more of a fan of coupons in my older years than I was in my younger years, because of the understanding of inflation. Things get more expensive, and it's like, yeah, I don't want to spend more. Like, I'm used to buying things for like a quarter or $1. Now those things are like $1 or $2 per item. It's like, damn, these used to be cheaper back in the day. Now they're more expensive. So that's why stuff like coupons and stuff like that is nice, because essentially coupons is like free money, basically, in a way. It's like, yeah, let me grab some coupons and get some stuff for free. I used to use the McDonald's and Burger King coupons to get cheap meals. Hey, if I'm gonna go eat unhealthy anyway, might as well save some money on it while I'm at it, right? And I was always able to get double the amount of food using the coupons. So I was able to actually feed not only myself, but be able to feed somebody else. So, for example, me and my friend will go to like Burger King's or McDonald's and use the coupon to get meals. So essentially, I'm paying for my meal, and the coupons pays for his meal. So we both get to eat, and I pay, less than I would have if I paid for both of us to eat, as an example. So, stuff like that. So I definitely can appreciate something like that from my wife, being able to find great deals on travel and food, and find ways to lower the bills and whatnot, and the list goes on. Budgeting also comes in handy with allowances. I would be giving my wife a certain percentage of, you know, of the incoming income for her to manage, for her to use however way she needs it, either for herself or for the house or for the kids or whatever. Like, you know, I would give her a certain percentage to manage. I'll manage the bulk of the finance, but of course I'll give her a percentage to manage herself, and we can go from there. And if she can, you know, take the money and make money, right? That's always good. So skills like that is useful, you know. Woman that knows how to make money from money is always a good woman. I mean, that also applies to a guy as well. But we all definitely should become, especially in this day and age with technology and the internet and stuff, right? We definitely should all become experts of making a lot of money, growing money, finding alternatives. You should be able to make money off of YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, blah blah blah, blah, right? Like, you should, you know, have multiple streams of income coming into the house other than just a regular job or career or something. We live in a world that's more connected, so there's more opportunities for making money, making profits. I got multiple businesses generating me different streams of income, so becoming really, really rich. It's not as difficult nowadays than it used to be back in the day. Over 20 years ago, it used to be hard. It's easier now because of the internet and smartphone and stuff. So you have no excuse not to be financially stable or secure. You know, people just gotta stop being lazy and start using the technology to improve their finances. First and foremost, learn how to get that bag, as they say. So accounting, making money is very important because it's a tool. It lets you do everything else you need, right? It lets you take care of, you know, keeping the house clean and, you know, keeping the family safe and having food in the fridge and so on and so forth. It's a very important tool. So it's very important for you to know how to use it, and also how not to use it but still benefit from it, right? As in, spend less of it, get more for less, right? Get more bang for your buck, as they say. So moving on to transportation. It's important to just be able to, to just drive, or to at least be able to use stuff like Uber to get around, even public transportation. But it's, I prefer, like, I rather my wife, have access to vehicles or Uber services, chauffeur services to get around and do what she needs to do. Especially if there's a scenario with if the kids get sick or whatnot, then her ability to go take them to the hospital or pick them up or bring them home or all that stuff, or if I end up in a scenario where I need her to pick me up, she can pick me up. Stuff like that would be very useful. So it's good to have that skill in general, because you never know when you need it. Not much to say there when it comes to transportation, but not only being able to drive, like if you're driving, if you own a vehicle, because your husband provided you a vehicle for you to use, it's important for you to know how to not just drive it, but also to maintain it. That's important, of course. Don't be one of those women that don't know, what the little oil light means, and what this, what all the little symbols and stuff in a car means. You need to know, when you're running out of gas and so forth and so forth. So very important to know those basic skills, those basic things when it comes to having a car. Being able to change the tire. Obviously, should always have a spare. Definitely should have like a tire repair kit. That's just my viewpoint. People should have tire repair kits, like an air pump in case your tires are low. Because sometimes it's not like you got a flat per se, or if you do have a flat, it's a slow leak. So your tire slowly is deflating. so you can just fill it up with air with a portable, car air compressor, and then be able to just drive with that slow leak to a nearby gas station or a home or a mechanic shop, somewhere where you can get the tire fixed, or at least just get the tire changed, where you can just swap out the tire. Even there's places like AutoZone, for example, like if you can get there, drive there, for a price, they can change the wheel for you. They could just fix it if it's a basic flat and the wheel and the tire is still good. For a cheap price, they can just fix the leak, or you can just replace the tire completely. I mean, in this situation, you should be at the point in your life with a man that can just easily afford new tires. Like, yeah, just buy a new tire. Don't waste time trying to save the old tire. Just buy a new one. That's how I would do it. I would rather my wife just all right, just replace the tire with a new one. Shit, while you're at it, replace all 4 tires. That kind of stuff. I'd rather have a scenario like that than just try to put a bandage over a wound when I could just replace the whole entire thing, right? So that's the thing I tend to do. I tend to make things simpler. It's like I'd rather, replace something a lot of times than try to fix it. A lot of times it is worth just fixing something, but it's about time and efficiency. If it's more efficient for me to throw away old clothing, right, that I've had for like 2 years, it'd be better to just throw them out and get new clothes, and it would be to just keep washing them. It's like, well, I've had them for a long period of time. I washed them multiple times. It's already getting to a point where I should trade them out, right? The next thing after transportation is recreation. That's where stuff like trips and things like that would matter. That's where the budgeting thing came into effect. The idea of finding cheap trips and planning trips based off of when you're able to get really good deals on trips, right? Instead of just trying to go on a trip on a whim just because you feel like going on a trip. Actually planning out is much better, because one, you can lower the cost by taking cheap trips at certain times. Now, what I mean by cheap, I don't mean like a coach or something. I mean get what is it called? First class. Get first class accommodations, but for half the price, like 50% off, for example. Get discounts on high quality stuff like first class flights, first class hotels, and so forth and so forth, right? Like you just wanna pay less for it, especially if the idea is that you're not going alone, you're going with somebody else. It'd be better for it to be cheaper, so that way you're not paying twice as much, right? I'd rather pay $100 for 2 people to go first class trip somewhere than to pay $200 for 2 people to go first class trip somewhere, right? Because it's like, why pay double, right? Why pay more if we can do the same thing? Because ultimately, it's what you do that matters more than how much you pay. It's not, you don't get no style points or whatever. You get no brownies. You don't get no extra credit in life if you spend more to do something. Like a trip to Florida is still a trip to Florida. It shouldn't cost me $1,000 to go to Florida, right? Like if I can go to Florida for like $200 at most, and it's me and someone else, then great, that's the deal. Sorry. And again, you still want it to be an awesome trip. I've been in scenarios where I do tend to look for cheap stuff like coaching stuff, but ironically, I always end up in first class. That's from my experience in life. I don't know. I guess I have a face. I am light-skinned. I'm Puerto Rican, but I am light-skinned, so I'm getting the big feeling that a lot of people think I'm white. So I've been getting a little bit of extra privilege in America. So I notice that happens a lot. Like I've been in a scenario where it's like, okay, Can't find my seat somewhere in coach, and then the the flight attendant or whatever would just be like, all right, just go to first class. It's like, okay, you said to go first class. I'm not going to argue and just go first class. So I've experienced some pretty nice opportunities in my life. First class is awesome. It is the best way to fly, or just travel in general. I definitely enjoy it, which is why it's ironic that whenever I paid for the cheapest thing, I always got access to the more expensive things, which was interesting. But yeah, that's the point. It's like if you can find things like good quality stuff for less, then there you go. Like I'd rather pay 50% less for a Lamborghini than pay full price. Somebody can brag about paying full price for a Lamborghini. It's like, hey, yeah, you do you. All I care about is that I got a Lamborghini, right? As an example. The end result matters to me more than how I got there, right? So it's just about being more logical, sensible. Recreation is not just, obviously going trips. Birthday parties, being able to plan a birthday parties, baby showers, just game nights, of course, adult activities. Ladies, y'all know what I mean. Being able to, set things up to make sure that things can happen, that people can have fun. You want to be happy. You want your husband to be happy. You want the kids to be happy. You want your guests, people who come to visit you to be happy. So it's like very important to have those home entertainment skills, the adult skills, for your husband, obviously, things of that nature. So very important to there's a lot of skill involved in being a wife. There's a lot of benefits in being a wife. You just gotta make sure that you have the right husband, you got the right mindset, to be able to be a wife. If you feel like you can't be a wife, then you can't be a wife, and that's understandable. I just hated always hearing women who talk about they don't want to be a wife because they try to make it seem like being a wife is a bad thing when it's not. The thing is that if you're a lazy person, don't like to do shit, well, yeah, I don't recommend you being a wife. If you're a lazy woman, if you're a woman that doesn't like to do anything, who prefers the easy life, prefers everyone to cater to her, and she does nothing for anyone else, it's like, all right, that means you're selfish. That's all that is. It's like, all right, fine. You want to be a selfish human being, all right, then be independent, right? Be alone. Men have made the world easy for not only women, but for men themselves, for humans, we should say in general, for humans to be able to live easy lives. A lot of my ideas and inventions is just to make life easier for humans in general, not just men or just women. No, just to make life easier for humans in general. So if you don't want to be a wife, that's fine. You just don't be surprised you don't get the benefits of being a wife, right? Having a partner, aka your husband, having kids and this and that, like, and having a nice, good old-fashioned, life. There's nothing wrong with being, husband and wife and having kids. There's nothing wrong with that. That's awesome. Family is great. Friends are great, right? Like, we love each other. Humans are awesome when we're together and working together. United we stand, divided we fall. But if you want to be divided, you want to be an island unto yourself, you want to be selfish and care about yourself and your needs more than others, fine. You do you. And accept the consequences that comes with it, because that is a lonely life. Being selfish has never benefited anyone. It only caused problems. A lot of the wars and a lot of the problems in this world comes from being selfish. And for hundreds of years, people have been working on reducing that selfishness, trying to make it where people aren't selfish, where everybody does get along, everybody does be nice to each other, everybody is respectful. We try to create things to be equal. That's why even the idea of women talking about they want equality, and the women that did talk about wanting equality, they wanted the option to have a job instead of being a wife. Instead of the only option they had was like, well, get yourself a man and you'll live a good life. It's like, okay, well, here's another option. Since you want options, all right, go get a job, and hopefully you can build yourself a good life, for yourself. But you gotta understand is that, when you go the path of independence, right, of taking care of yourself, you are just by yourself. That's the whole point. The original way of being with a man, being a wife, is that one, that is a job. Being a wife is a job, right? You do get paid to be a wife. You do, because of the benefits. Your husband does share his income with you, so you do get compensated for what you do. You have a roof over your head that you didn't pay for. That's compensation right there. Bills you don't pay for, that's compensation. The list goes on and on of all these things you benefit from. Women will be quick to say that to their kids, like, oh, you got a roof over your head, you got food, and blah, 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 blah. I do all this for you, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. Your kids should be grateful because of all the stuff you do for them. But the irony is that the same person who will say this, aka an independent, strong, independent woman, doesn't realize that that's the same situation if she was a wife. Her husband is doing everything, a lot of things for her that makes her life easy, so that way she should also be grateful. But the irony is they don't see it that way. They're ungrateful, which is ironic. They understand the idea of being grateful to someone or something, taking care of them, right? They understand the idea of taking of somebody should be grateful for being taken care of, but when it's them in that position or someone taking care of them, then they're ungrateful. Those people that collect this child support, they're ungrateful about it. There's people who collect the SSI is ungrateful about it. There's people who collect the Social Security, unemployment that's ungrateful, and so forth. There's so many people that's ungrateful. Somebody is taking care of them, but they're ungrateful. Like, that don't make sense. You should be extra grateful, extremely grateful. Shit, I would like it if somebody took care of me, right? Financially, put a roof over my head, food in my stomach, clothes on my back. Allow me to do the things that I want to do on their dime instead of my own dime, right? That would be awesome. I mean, logically, who wouldn't want that? But that's why it's ironic that a lot of independent women out here, talking about, oh, I pay my own bills, I do this, that, and they're like, oh, that's cool. Do you really like that? Do you really like the idea of doing things yourself or doing things for yourself? Me personally, I'd rather I'm the type of person that likes to do stuff for others, but the thing is, if I was to be able to choose between do stuff for myself or have somebody else do it for me, I would choose somebody else to do it for me. Women bragging about they pay their own bills as if that's something to brag about, because I would hate that. I don't like paying bills, but all right, it's something I have to do as a human being. The point is like bragging about, oh, I pay my own bills. It's like me bragging about I masturbate. Yeah, I make myself bust a nut. I don't need no woman because I could do it myself. Like, nah, fuck that. If I have to choose between doing it myself or having a hot woman do it for me, I'd rather have a hot woman do it for me. It's just common sense, but common sense is not as common as it used to be. But again, if you want to be a strong, independent woman, that's on you. But it's better to be a wife, because the stuff you can do while you're independent, you can do it as a wife. You don't stop living your life and doing the things you like as a wife. You like to watch TV, you can do that as a wife. You like to travel, you can do that as a wife. You like to eat at expensive restaurants, you could do that as a wife. And the list goes on and on of all the things you can do as a wife. That's why it's so weird, the idea of like independence is like, why do you want to do things the hard way? That's all I'm hearing. I'm not hearing that you're doing things the smart way, the better way. Being a strong, independent woman doesn't sound smart, sounds dumb, sounds the opposite. Being a wife sounds smart. Having somebody else do 90% of the heavy lifting for you in your life, while you only do 10%. That sounds amazing. That's a great deal for me. I would love that, right? I would love to, that's why the whole idea of like modern women and stuff like that, when I started hearing that concept going around, women making their own money to stand there, I'm like, well, if women are making their own money, which means they can pay their own bills and this, that, there, so they don't need me for money, all they would need is me for dick and to love them and to be with them and to help them, in their lives. Sure, I'll be a house husband. Got no problem with that. Especially in this day and age, it's easy to be a homebody. It's easy to be in the house all the time, nowadays than it used to be. So yeah, I have no problem being a house husband, right? I'm not gonna be a house husband, but I'm just saying I wouldn't have a problem with it because it's like, well, if that's the arrangement that I'm in, my wife wants to be the one that goes to work and makes the bread and blah 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 blah. I'm like, fine, I'll stay home. I'll take care of the house. That's not a problem. That's easy. That's the point. It's easy. I'm gonna make it easy. I'm gonna make sure that in less than 2 hours, everything in the house gets done, so I can spend the rest of the day doing whatever the fuck I want, like playing video games or something, whatever I feel like doing. I'd rather be in that position than having to work 9 to 5 on purpose, like spending too much time doing whatever the fuck I'm doing to make money, right? And that's the thing, I'll be getting taken care of. That's the point. I'll be taken care of, like my necessities, food, right, roof, shelter, clothing, or like, entertainment, whatever I need, right, will already be taken care of. But oh well, I digress.